shared the agenda with Beth, and we'll hammer through this and. get on your
Talk
way.
slow.
Huh?
Talk slow.
Talk slow?
Yeah, we got time to make Phil.
You know what, let the record show that this is the first time I've ever had the commissioners tell me to slow down when I get into them. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
And, let me do this.
Yes.
Okay, alright, gotcha, okay, perfect. So on the, meeting minutes up there, so good news, we filled the 3 corrections officers positions, and, they are all in different waves of training right now. So I'm excited about that. We've got one, young man, who had some experience, and, the other 2 are brand new to the profession, so we're excited about that, and we're looking forward to getting them trained up. I gave you a copy of the year-end commissary, something I do for Beth to have to report. It's a document. John, it's one of the pictures I sent you. So there, for whatever reason, there seemed to be a commissary used to be a mystery to everybody outside of the sheriff's office, and I wanted to just share with you, give you an idea about the amount of money that we're putting back into the sheriff's office every year that we're not coming to the council or the commissioners for. So the inmate trust fund, that's, what we hold the, bond money in. That's not anything we mess with. We're just like it goes in, it goes out, for bond, for the judge says. But the, commissary fund, you can see our beginning cash balance January 1 of last year and our ending cash balance, and you can see the receipts and disbursements that went through there. And what that's for is that's for a variety of anything. That's the 28 things that the council approved that we can spend commissary money on, and that includes equipment for the staff, improvements to the vehicles, to the jail, training equipment. Anything that we would use.
A new roof?
Pardon me?
A new roof?
I wish a new roof, I wish. But the point is, when I first came here, there seemed to be a disconnect between, previous administration, and there was like a secret. There's no secret, we ended the year with $3,618 in it. And so there is not a plethora of cash sitting in that fund, but, I point this out because number one is, in my law, I provide this every year, and going forward, I'll provide it twice a year, I believe is what the new statute says. All of that money is we also use that, money to pay for the drug and alcohol, and mental health, stuff that goes on back in the jail, so that's part of what that's for. And it's also used for keeping the commissary, so out of that money that is in the receipts there, the disbursement, part of that was buying the stuff that the inmates buy in the commissary. So we have to buy all that stuff, and they turn around and buy it back. So, just wanted to share that with you guys, just so you had an idea about what's going through there and how we operate.
Historically, going back even in the previous administration before you took over, is there any documentation at all of what he had before you took office, or no?
Because he had to do this, right?
He was supposed to, I can't confirm or deny, he
So,
actually turned it in.
So as I say, I drew a bright white line on January 1st of 2023, and going forward, if you guys have any questions about what we spent out of here, I've got it, and we have, the receipts, so we just got audited by the state, and we passed with good colors there, and, I feel good. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we could use this for is, we have new commissary software for the first time. The sheriff's office will use an automated system that is all computerized. So now, what I can do is I could come to you guys, and you can say, hey, John, so maybe I'm asking for some vest or something, all right, some lithium vest, and I could come to you and say, out of that system, now I can pull how much money I actually spent on uniforms for the staff, right? So I can say, hey, look, man, I already spent 20 grand, I don't have any more, I really need this 3,500 if you guys had it, right? So there's this kind of this give and share and this information flow that makes you feel a little bit better about, if I'm asking you for something, that I just want you to know that I'm doing my very best with what I already have.
Where are they at as far as, updates for your deputies, as far as gear, tasers, so
Yeah,
on?
so-
What what's next, or what needs to be taken care of?
So we've already got the money to put the, video in the truck, and the new body worn, so that's just a matter of time before we get it there. You'll see the claim come through, that's coming out of the opioid money, so that won't be anything out of the budget, right? It's part of the budget, but not something that you can use it for anything else, other than to deal with opioid issues in your community. So that's coming out. The thing that I really need the worst is to replace our tasers. All of our tasers are really old. Matter of fact, I'm getting ready to go buy a couple. So there's a company in Florida that it cost me about $1,300 to buy a used reconditioned taser. That taser actually no longer manufactured to sell, so they can actually remanufacture them and make them work. But I've got, 2 tasers in the back, and one of the deputy's tasers has been malfunctioning, so I'm gonna order 3 of those to get me by.
What's the cost of the new one?
But in the big, it is a chunk of money, it's about 60 grand to re-outfit. So I'm gonna look for grant money
For all your deputies?
for the deputies and for the, COs in the
COs.
back and the software. So Taser has a lock on that. There's nobody else that you can buy a Taser from, it's Taser International, and they own it, and so they make you pay for it. So we've been buying some of these reconditioned tasers over the last couple of years, and that's what's kept at least tasers in everybody's hand, right?
Is there funding out there as far as grant funding or anything to go?
Yeah,
after?
so I'm talking to Jason, right? Jason is a pretty good source for options, and he's hooked me up, so, I'll ask again from our, local Benton County Foundation for a little bit of money. But I don't know that it's gonna come from all one place, so I'll probably have to get 2 or 3 different grants that'll actually add up to that. But right now, we're okay, but to answer your question, renewing our taser fleet, for lack of a better term.
Cause we talked, the long rifles are already happening, right?
That's already done, yes, we had that in the budget, so, our patrol rifles are good for right now. That's one of the things, so patrol rifles are good, we just ordered new shotguns, and we're gonna take the old shotguns, although I've got a couple of deputies who are gonna keep them, but so each deputy will end up with a less lethal shotgun. But I already had that in the budget, so that's a done deal, that's already taken care of. We need to retrofit our patrol rifles to bring them up to date, cause they're all old AR-15s.
Yeah.
That's about 10 grand, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait probably until the middle of the year and try to build up enough money in the commissary to do that on. Yeah, I like the idea of taking that money and using that to equip my team. But the biggest thing is, if you guys know of any funding sources and grant wise, I can apply for.
Well, that's what I'm
It's
gonna
about
ask,
60 grand.
that's what I'm gonna ask of you, John, is get those numbers, solid figures to refit your entire department, and then we can work together to figure out what we need to do funding wise, through grants, through help from us, through
Okay.
commissary, whatever.
Yep.
Because my personal feelings, I wanna make sure our deputies are safe.
Right.
And so the general public, so we don't have to
Sure.
deploy a handgun when we can
Right.
still use it.
Yeah, and it's important to the back too, cause right now they all share tasers. They've got enough of the ones that are on duty, but again, they're the oldest ones we've got.
Yeah.
Cause they're less likely to use them back in the jail, but that's what I wanted to use in the jail, instead of giving hands-on to somebody getting a jaw broke or something like that.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, and I'll get those numbers to you.
Good.
Beth said that you approved our holiday. so thank you
Yes.
for that.
Yep.
So one of the things that came up with the new hirings, and I'm still new to this, and I'm still learning it, and Beth can please tell me if I'm wrong. So when you hire a new employee at the county, so I just hired 3 that were hired in January. So the first year they get 8 days of PTO, is that right?
Yes, so it goes quarterly.
Quarterly, but is that after they have to
Right.
work 90 days first
That
before
is
that?
the department head's discretion,
So-
before they can use it.
So I'm
Yes.
okay, I'm okay with that, but where I'm going with that is, so I had Sheridan Benson, is gonna be my example. He started in like May of previously. He had eight PTO days to use from May to the end of the year, but because he started in May, he had to work a whole nother calendar year with 8 days of PTO before he got the 25.
That's
So-
personal policy.
Right, no, and I'm cool with that, because that is the policy. But what I've got right now is I've got 3 new people that are literally gonna only get 8 days of PTO for 2 years. Each year, 8 days for 25, and then 8 days for 26, because the policy says they have to work a complete calendar year before they can get their 25 days of PTO. I guess what I'm asking is that if I can work with Beth, and we can talk about that, because either prorate some of that, or, you know, if they get, you know, if they work 11 months in year one, they get 8 days of PTO, okay, but give them the 25 for that next full year, because what they're doing is, it basically, they're working 23 months with a total of 16 days of PTO, and it feels unfair. And so, and I know it's the handbook, and I'm cool with that, and I just would like to take a look at it.
If they don't use all of their 8 days, they do get to roll over a max of 10 days.
Yeah.
So, as for it being personnel policy, that would be Jacob's area, you would have to do an ordinance, however,
That's gonna
you
change
have to
it
think
clear across
about
the board.
all the other departments as well.
Yeah. Well, and again, I'm not asking for a decision or anything right now, I'm just sharing that I recognize that I've got 3 new employees that'll get 8 days of PTO for the rest of this year. They've all got families, and then they're only gonna get 8 days of PTO in 2026, so they're gonna work 23 months. And so, I guess I want to share that with you and ask if there is any interest in trying to find someone to address that, to help new employees that are in that position. So, and I don't know, again, I don't know what the logistics of making something like that happen. I don't know what the discussions are that need to make that happen, but it does seem unfair to new people, if they get 2 years of 8 days, because that gives them, if they use the days, in a row, that would just barely be 2 weeks. And I know they have kids that get sick, they have other things.
It's 3 more days than I had when I started my job. I had 2 weeks of 5 days, and that was it. 2 years of 5 days.
I don't even know what a day off is.
Yeah, you don't even know what it
Well,
is.
tell me about it, I feel you, but
We'll look into it,
Yeah.
but if it's gonna be something that's gonna disrupt the entire policy for the entire county, we're gonna have to be really careful on
Yeah.
how.
Yeah.
Cause one move could just shake things loose
Yeah.
terribly.
Well, again, if you just talk about it,
Yeah, we will,
and think about it.
we'll
and-
address it.
And, go from there. So that'd be great, that's all I'm asking today, is just,
Okay.
let's see, county highway's gonna move the trailer on the west side of the jail once it warms up. I've not heard anything else on, the review of the old jail,
I think they're gonna be here with us today at
Okay.
9:30.
and then, our firearm simulating trainer is here, we have started to use it. It is wonderful, on Friday from 10 to noon. I'm going to invite all of the commissioners and all of the council folks to come in between 10 and noon.
Good.
And I've got the 2 guys that are operating the system in there, and you will actually be able to see how we're training our jail staff, our patrol staff, and our courthouse security people. Using that, so it's cool, because not only got the handgun option, but there's also a taser, so you have to decide, and you actually, how well you communicate with the scenario depends on which way the scenario branches. It can get worse, or by de-escalating it, you can make it better, it'll get up, so that's awesome. Okay. Fairgrounds, so I gave you a copy of and I sent these to John as well, Fair Board minutes. So, we voted to turn ownership of the gates and fans, and they're over to you, so that they're just a part of the facility that you own. These are your associates said they just needed the Fair Board minutes, and it would just fall under your coverage as building contents. So I wanted to share with you, I I don't know whether that means you all need now to vote to accept them. I don't know what that means, but, we did vote, to donate those, in all the barns, gates and cages and fans and anything that's in the contents of the building.
I assume that would all be just under a blanket.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said it would just fall under the contents of the building, and he just needed a copy of these minutes, and then I'm assuming something from you guys that say you accept it or whatever, so. I don't know what the situation, is. Maybe you have
She
some.
wants what she's got in the minutes.
I'll make a motion that we'll take over the gates contents.
No fairgrounds. I'll second that motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
So also in those minutes, you guys had asked us to come up with some rental fee options, so those are in there. So if you look on the front of the first page, so we tried to take a look around and think about what we were doing. We took a look at what you're already doing with the annex. So what we came up with is, looking at, if somebody would say wanted to rent the old, Methodist booth to have a family reunion, it would open up the bathrooms for them there, it would open up that kitchen inside there so they could use it, they would have power, water, and lights. We talked about, if you wanted to, say, rent that building out for a day, it'd be $200 to rent it. If you wanted to rent a second building, then it would be $400. If you wanted to rent 3 of the buildings to use them, it would be a maximum of $500 to rent 3 buildings or more. That would exclude the track and the new building up front, right? So that was just for the barns and the fair board office and the 4-H food stand and all that. So $200 for building up to 2 buildings, and then it'd be just a blanket $500 if they want to basically rent the fairground and use that. What we talked about as far as the building up front, I didn't know what the rental rate was for the annex. I just found out this morning it's $200. You might wanna, this obviously are all recommendations to you guys. You can choose to do whatever you want.
Well, I've got some questions on that because there's some things in the future that we're gonna be looking towards, so. Is that building, or tables and chairs being purchased, or for events, or that are gonna be there, or do the people that rent it have to rent their own and
So
bring them in?
we have about a half a dozen plastic 8-foot tables and a handful of chairs, that we have available to use. What we had set it up as is if you were gonna have, a larger event, and the previous commissioners have said, like in the new building, if you're gonna have a wedding or something in there, then you providing your own tables and chairs and all that, that's part of your own expense. We will have 3 or 4 tables down there in the storage area that you can pull out and use if you just needed a couple for, say, a meeting or something like that. But in general, we won't have any tables and chairs to give to somebody to be able to use for a bigger event.
And it is, that building's all set up, kitchen, bathrooms. I've not been in it.
Yeah, the new building?
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's technically not a kitchen, it's a
kitchenette,
workspace.
workstation.
Workspace with countertops and several outlets along the back to be able to plug roasters and toasters and things into, so. So that, and then $800 is what we talked about approving for the use of the track out there. We made so many improvements out there, and the track has really gotten to be nice. And we came up with that was because that's what we used to, the fair board would charge the hub shakedown guys for using it. So last year we tried something different. We just said, hey, why don't you just use the track, and if you have a good year, please share some of that with us. And if you don't have a good year, then you can reduce that amount. We didn't want to take all their money. And so they agreed, but then we didn't get any money out of it. So we're gonna go back to saying, okay, if you rent the track, it's $800, flat rate. And that gives them access to the track, to the grandstands, to the, that food concession stand there. But they have to get the event approved by the fair board, because we don't want them running just anything out there.
Well, that's gonna be another question I'm gonna have, so there'll be contractual agreements written up to where whoever rents it is going to have the insurance coverage as
Yeah.
well, correct?
Yeah, so that's
Liability of it,
part of what we need to work with Jake on is get the right language in the letter, and basically it indemnifies, the fair board indemnifies the commissioners, indemnifies the county. You know, it's like, you know, if you get, whatever the bid is, $500,000, around $1 million worth of insurance to do whatever with. And, that's what we do during the fair, so everybody that comes in, like the bouncy houses, they have to bring their own insurance, and they have to give us a copy of that. The race out there, they bring in their own insurance, and do all that indemnifiable, so that's all part of it, but the way that we, and then we discussed, including $100 cleaning fee, so, we have a lady that comes over during the fair and cleans the bathrooms and the fair board office twice a day, and we paid her $100 a day to do that. Because it's not a clean job during the fair. And so what we said was, if we did $100 cleaning fee, that would pay her to go over and clean the bathrooms and then go into whichever facility and clean up any messes or anything that were left behind that folks didn't clean up, so. So anyway, we throw all that out there to you. You can digest that, you guys can talk about it, you can do whatever you wanna do. The only one that I really, you know, I didn't know what to set the new building at. I mean,
I don't know, I have a hard time with that one, because with it being a brand new facility and trying to maybe get a little bit of return on investment.
yeah, well, and we agreed last time that we would set up that account, so anything that came off of those facilities would go in that checking account, so that we turn around and use that money to maintain the facilities. So I just.
I don't wanna price it out of the realm where people aren't gonna rent it, don't get me wrong.
Absolutely,
We just need to find,
Right.
a rate that's satisfactory with
Yeah.
the area and what
Right.
events that we're.
so the annex, they charge $200, a day. And so that's what the board went ahead and just said, okay, same rental rate as that, and then it's subject to whatever your final decisions are.
The roofs, like the Rooster Earl Park's $250, and then you get 50 back in deposit as long as it's cleaned up, so basically $200.
Okay.
So I mean, that's kinda seems like the average around here, just, it's a brand new facility though.
Well, those were recommendations, so we'll wait for you guys to make a decision. Tell us what that is, and then when that happens, then we'll work with Jacob to come up with the right language in the contract for the buildings and get all that stuff approved by you guys. And go from there. Okay. We did receive the $23,000 donation to finish the fence around the racetrack, so as in the bank, we've already made contact with the contractor, he's already purchasing the material so that we get it now instead of waiting until May or June or July when prices go up. And that will finish that 5-foot chain link fence all the way around and encompass the track between the horse and pony and offsets that space all the way by 20 feet down, gives more space between the arena for the horse and pony and the racetrack, which will help reduce, the friction with our horse and pony partners.
Good.
So fair board is, we voted we are going to hold first bingo night at the Fowler Country Club on March the 5th. I'm getting the permits for that lined up, and the idea is we have real good attendance at the one we do at the fair, and we're hoping to be able to, hold this and, raise some funds, to be able to put the fair on with, outside of the money that we get from the county and the commissioners and council. So that will, happen on March the 5th, and we're gonna put that out there, make a big deal out of it, trying to raise some funds. So one of the things we talked about, how we can stretch our dollars as far as we can over there, so we, basically have $20,000 to do the maintenance on the buildings and keep the space running, and $30,000 to do the fair, right? So we started looking at, so between, the insurance that we paid, which is one of the reasons why we asked you guys to take on the gates inside the buildings, that will help reduce our insurance costs. So we still have that, so I'm still waiting, it's probably gonna be about $6,000, to insure the board and also insure any events that the board hosts, okay? The other area that we're running into is our electrical bill. So our electric bill runs between $10,000 and $12,000 a year, which chews up half of that 20 grand, right? So we have gone around and brainstormed on how to reduce the electricity out there, the use. Really, the only electrical use outside of vents is the lights that light up the fairgrounds. Now, I don't know if NIPSCO just has a flat rate that they're charging us. I don't know what we're really using out there because I have no way to tell. So I'm picking your brain. Is there something that we can do to try to get a meter or something?
I would come through there the other night fairly late, and it seemed like there was a lot of lights on.
Yeah.
A lot.
That's part of what we're talking about doing, is trying to strategically reduce that number.
Yeah, which will strategically, it'll take your cost down.
Right, so last year we put up all brand new LED lights, so that reduced it a lot. But I don't know where the meter is for that. I don't know if it's the meter that's out there on the panel there next to the old Methodist booth, where I call it the power farm, right there where all the transformers are.
By the looks of the bills, it shouldn't have any snow or frost on it. It should be zigging pretty good.
Yeah.
And warm.
So I'm hoping, I'm gonna try to get a hold of our electrical providers and see if they can help me understand whether they're just, because it was $550 a month, several months, and then the fair came, and it was a little over 3,000 for the month of June and July, and then all of a sudden it went up to $630.
Well, unless they change their fees for, that's considered commercial.
I don't know. I'll give you that gal's number. She would help, she helped out a lot as far as knowing who to talk to there. Cause
Be great.
they're a pain in the ass to work with.
Yeah, we figured that out. So,
Yeah, well, yeah, let's see if that'll work.
She got right back with me on everything I asked her,
Oh,
so
good.
she's a good point of contact.
good, that'd be awesome. So thing one is get with Lyle, figure out how we can take some of, because all those are on eyes out there, right? So take some of them off eyes and put them on a switch on the pole so that we can choose to turn them on or off. And then get with somebody at NIPSCO and say, okay, how much power are we really using? Because I find it hard to believe that, and I know that lights are on during the dark, but those are all LED. Excuse me, and I find it hard to believe we're using $630 a month worth of power just in those 12 or so lights out there. So I'll just shoot me a text or something.
Yeah, I'll get it to you.
We'll work on that. And then, we're working on the insurance, the Farm Bureau to cover the
Fair board.
variable commits.
Where do we stand on the new building, money wise?
So we got $20,000 in the checking account right now that we can.
That are
use
donations.
Yeah, that we can pay for like installation and stuff.
What's our final, do we have any idea what our final total cost is at
Um,
the end of this?
So my understanding, if, and I'd have to go back and look, but it's somewhere around 450,000 or somewhere in that area, 460 is what the, and we took, that's why we took the, what do I say, not pergola, that concrete slab and the roof off the back of it, took that roof off with the overhang over there, was to reduce the cost until we can get just the main building built, and then we'll see where we are this summer at the end of trying to fundraise. Curious as to your, so we did get a major donor, that donated that money, but we've also talked to, BP Wind Energy, and they're interested in making a chunk of a donation to that building. But I also know that there's been some
I'm
controversy.
sure they are right now.
Some controversy between, the wind side of it and the Kerbin side of it. And I don't wanna get sideways in the middle of that conversation, so.
I think we need to settle our side before that goes any further with
Okay.
them.
Cool.
I've had conversations with her this week already,
Okay,
so.
okay,
There are still documents that they have not provided that were supposed to be in my hands yesterday, and I got an email that they are still not prepared, so until we're
FYI,
we'll just stay where we're at.
ask. So, cause they reached out and we talked about it last year during the fair, and they said that, when the building started getting constructed, they would be really, really interested in paying for a chunk of the building. And I said, well, we'll get back to you on that, so we will. Stand by.
Are all contractors at this time for work that's been done paid up?
Yes, I
Is
believe-
everybody's
I
taken
believe
care
so,
of?
yes, yeah, I believe so.
Good. I just, if you wanna keep with Beth on
Yep. I
where
will.
we're at, so we know, I
Yep.
wanna make sure we're on top of that,
Yep.
getting down to the end, because the quicker we can get it finished and opened up for rentals or whatever for this
Yep.
coming season.
Yep, absolutely. The power should be on by the end of this month, is what I was told, and I shared with Sean.
Good.
That's what the engineer told me, so,
That Karen, she got back with me on that end of it too, so.
okay, cool, that's great. So yeah, so everything is kinda just moving out there.
Good.
We've got, I work with, Brian, because apparently he's the kind of liaison with, the cable company.
Correct.
They're moving, so we made an agreement. We gave them a space over in this very southwest corner of the fairgrounds to store all their poles over there. And he's gonna talk to them about providing internet
I've
service.
seen them getting unloaded, I was wondering,
Yep, he's going to talk to, work with them to try to get some internet service out there at the fairgrounds, so they're better wireless.
Okay.
Kind of will help you if you'll help us type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, everything's just
Good.
slowly getting better.
Good. All your officers are good? Everybody?
They are, yeah, trucks are running right now, they're watching the oil, with that, since we found out they've swollen some oil. I understand from the mechanic, the truck will be done here by the end of the month, or right around that area.
Yep.
I'll be back in the fleet. So
Yep,
we-
that'll give you two of them there. I know you and I talked once, but what is wrong with the one that is sitting out there? Is it
So
just
that's-
getting worked out of the fleet because it's the oldest one, or?
Yeah, it has some, drivetrain issues in it that, until you broke it open to look at it, you don't know whether it was gonna be significant to repair or not. The engine seemed to be strong in it, and that's why, so when that one went down, we kinda just backed off selling it in case we had to. But apparently you can't take an engine out of that one and put it in the other one, so, but, yeah,
So it's gonna get advertised for sale?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep, that'll be advertised, and then it'll be nice to have that second one back in the fleet, cause like this morning, we had a deputy that had to drop his truck off over here across the street for service. And he took it, but he didn't check because we had to move an inmate to medical this morning. And so I'm gonna just give him my truck to move to medical, and then we'll do that, but having both of those, then we'll have one that the deputies can always take, and then we'll have one I know that will be there for at least a month.
Okay.
This morning over at the courthouse, the heater went out downstairs in the, entrance, the security entrance, so I've got, I talked to Nick on the phone a while ago. The power in the hand is good, batteries are good, the green lights on it, but there's not any heat whatsoever coming out. So they're gonna come over and take a look at that. Let me get with you, is there a maintenance line for the courthouse that I need to know about, that when we get those bills, that gets?
It would be in the custodian.
That's the one question I never ever ask, because whenever we have people come out to service.
We wish you wouldn't have, because we're gonna build all the heat in it.
Hey, you know what? At the end of the day, it's all the commissioner's shit, right? Every dollar belongs to you, so you just divide it up in pots with the council and just divvy it out, so. It's all your shit. It's all your shit. So I'll work with you on that, because when we have the, like, when we bought the hard drives and had that fixers, I never have thought about, always, they come to me and just pay the bills.
Because you more of the one should be small, and I think.
Okay.
Does your new truck have a plate yet, or is it something?
It's got a plate. Yep. came in right before the end of the year.
So I'd like to see, like a list of what your deputies and stuff get paid. It was brought to my attention that a brand new person makes the same as somebody that's been there.
Yeah, so that's what we've been talking a little bit about, so we finally got to the point where I feel like our base salary for our deputies is good. They're making $60,000 a year, which is not as good as some surrounding counties, but we're also a different county, right? So that's base, and so one of the things that for this coming year, when I present to the council, we're gonna try to look at some sort of matrix. So it also helps with longevity, and I know there's longevity in there that you guys already do, but if you look at, if you have a deputy that's here for 3 years, and if they get a, say, $2,000 bump because they've been here for 3, and then, whatever the increments are up to a certain point, whether it's 10 years, or 12 years, or 15 years, so that somebody that's been here for 10 years, or like, if Derek's still here, like Derek being the most senior deputy, so that the new deputy's not making the same amount of money.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Right.
Longevity.
So, and there might be an opportunity to take that longevity that you guys already provide, take that money and build that into that, right? So that we allocate where that goes, maybe that's the bump they get in year 3. And then you look at year 5 or year 8 or 9 or however you do it. Several of the surrounding counties have those for their deputies.
Yeah, I just like to see what it looks like, 'cause
Yeah.
if we got good people, we need to keep them.
Oh, absolutely. Same thing for the jails. A lot of the jails have that. They've got, 5-year, 7-year type of thing, which,
If it's more enticing to drive,
Everywhere else.
absolutely. And we kind of stop that bleeding for right now with the most recent.
Well, we
rate.
lost a lot of good deputies because of
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
so.
And some good people down in the jail, just making $30,000 a year. But now their base pay is now 45, which is fairly close to where Warren County is. So I feel good about that. So again, looking at that matrix or that longevity matrix from both sides, this will be my ask this year from council. I've already got some, I'm shipping that too. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for all your help. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you too, John.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, man, I thought you might fall asleep there for a second.
No, my flight just got canceled, so we're trying to figure out what I'm gonna do.
All right, brother. All right, guys, thank you.
Okay.
All right, thanks, John. Have a good day.
Yep, you too.
Okay, so Tyler, the ICC is canceled for the day, so we moved the preservation, am I saying this right, Preservation Guild and Indiana Landmarks ahead, so Indiana Landmarks?
I'm Dwight with the Prairie Preservation Guild. And these are the folks from Indiana Landmarks. This is Catherine, she's the architect. She's not with Indiana Landmarks.
Come on up, pull the chair.
Yep.
She's going to share her findings of the old jail. Yeah, that's fine. Catherine Baker is a Benton County-based registered architect. She and her husband purchased a rural property outside Boswell back in 2009. I can't believe it's been that long. They acquired a commercial building in Boswell. They continue to work on rehabilitation. But Catherine established, she was with a prominent Chicago firm for decades. She's established nowhere collaborative. New firm, she's based in Boswell, I believe. You maintain office space in the old Boswell Elementary School. So we approached Catherine. I know that there was concern expressed about another architect in the area. We did make contact with a couple of other architects. The tight time frame of being able to turn around, get the building assessed, and provide a written assessment was sort of a challenge. Catherine was able to do that. We also appreciate the opportunity to work with a Benton County-based architect. She is the only one. So she's kind of got monopoly in Benton County. But we appreciated her willingness to, sort of take this on, with a tight time frame. So I'm gonna allow Catherine to kind of share, and I apologize, a little bit of communication issue with my assistant. We didn't print off copies for everyone, but we do have 2 copies here. This will be emailed to you, the assessment. And this is a sort of physical assessment of the building. I will let you know that we looked at trying to get numbers. The holidays and the weather has made that a real challenge to be able to get contractors out to be able to provide us with solid estimates, so that you have solid numbers to be able to compare with demolition bids and that. But turn it over to Catherine to kind of share sort of her observations during her assessment.
Can I have one of these copies and take
Yes.
pictures of it, send to John, please?
Yeah. And we'll get that email so you can share.
Well, he's sitting in Florida, so,
Okay.
Must be nice.
other than his flight just got canceled again.
Ms. Thompson, thank you for meeting with us, and, I'm originally from Indiana, Northwest Indiana, Ball State, so it's great to be back here and working in, really a small community and just trying to see what, an architect can contribute to, a smaller community. So, I actually only had a chance to walk through the building once, but, the building is in, remarkable condition, for a historic building, and, a lot of the original details preserved, windows, the original gutter that's incorporated into the cornice. So as far as structurally, as far as, I think renovating the building, I think you've got a really, really solid building to start work with. Obviously, mechanical systems, plumbing, heating, cooling can be upgraded and also can be much more energy efficient. There's moisture issues or humidity in the basement, but that can be remedied with, permanent drain tile and a sump pump. And I think most of the moisture issues were just from a roof leak at the valleys, which is pretty common. There may be some mold issues, historic mold issues, couldn't really tell, but it was very cold in there, so not sure if that continues to be an issue, but, you remove the drywall or lath and plaster, and, I'm not sure if the actual wood studs behind there are completely damaged or not, but it was very spot, points of damage, so, I don't know, you have a really solid building.
What do we do with it?
Pardon?
What do we do with it?
Well, that wasn't part of my report, to tell you what to do with it. I was just assessing the condition of it, and it's amazing. The Indiana limestone, the typology of the building, the history of it, being right next to this historic building, it's a real.
Well, here's our disconnect. This is a historic building, correct? Looks nice, it's nice. On the 3rd floor, we've got tons and tons of paperwork, and file cabinets, and it's bellying out. So we're gonna lose this building if we don't do something. That's the whole point of taking that down, putting up a storage facility, because you gotta keep all these records for 75 years. We don't have any place to put them, and it's gotta be someplace close.
That's an opportunity. Did you find that information?
Well, it has to, what is up there has to be kept,
Physical
physically
copy.
kept
Okay.
for 75 to 100 years.
Yeah. So we've got a hell of a mess on our hands where,
We're gonna have a structural issue.
yeah,
Could the land around the jail be used for that? Tear down the 2-car garage that's there.
It's not enough room because we're not only working with 2 entities here, we're working with what's gotta happen with the courthouse, and we're also working with what's gotta happen with the problems we're having with the current jail we're in now.
they need room for their evidence. I mean, everything has to be in a close vicinity, and in my mind, this is a must. I mean, I've been in the business of saving, preserving lives for over 20 years. I'm damn sure gonna take care of the people in this building. Cause that's a huge liability. You can see it in the floor bellying out.
So the assessment that we undertook was looking at the existing conditions of the building, needs, rehabilitation needs, we didn't look at adaptive reuse for storage purposes. As Catherine indicated in the study, as far as the jail portion of that, that could be adaptively reused. Yeah, it's great to be able to go in there and see the old jail cells as it's been. Retaining at least one of those cells to be able to interpret, but the rest of that structure could be modified to be able to create a storage facility. And the way it is built, there is no issue with floors bowing or sagging from storage materials, archival materials. So that is a possibility of looking at rehabilitating and adaptively reusing the jail and sheriff's residence for the storage facility, evidence room, all of that. It doesn't provide, I know that the sheriff's department's looking at need for garage facility. There may be room behind the building to be able to construct garage
Let's
facilities.
get John up here so he can listen too.
Oh,
But-
I'm listening.
But I know that when we came last month, I asked whether there'd been any alternatives to just demolishing the existing landmark structure and building a new facility there. Had there been any alternatives looked at? And I believe it was indicated not yet.
Well, we own that.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing, I know that you've received bids for demolition. We want to be able to provide solid numbers of rehabilitation, to be able to compare that, looking at what if those demolition funds were put towards rehabilitation of the structure for continued use, and new types of uses that the building could accommodate. But I also, well, first of all, I want to ask if the commissioners would provide some additional time so we can get contractors in, be able to get some numbers. As I said, the holidays and the weather has proven a real challenge trying to get contractors in. Got a roofer ready to come in and take a look at both portions, shingle on the residential portion, and new metal standing seam on the back. I've got HVAC contractor waiting to hear back to see when they'd be able to get in, to give some idea as to what the cost would be, what the needs would be. And part of that would be coordinating with, has there been any design work for a new facility that you're looking at?
We gotta get that
Step
down.
A has to be done before we go to step B.
Okay. So you've demolished that structure before you've done any design work?
We already know that we own the ground and what it's gonna be used for, so as far as secondary design, as far as what we're gonna build there for future uses, and
But you don't have
Is-
cost right now?
No, we don't.
So let me just say something, when I approach these guys, so, as I shared with Dwight, it's a double-edged sword for me, right? I mean, it really is, I mean, it's a piece of history for the county, but we also, here in 2025, I'm busting at the seams in the jail over there. I can't even add staff because I have no place to put them, because I don't have I can't grow out, right? I don't have any men's or women's locker rooms over there that are, we're not compliant in the back with some ADA stuff, because I had a guy come in a wheelchair the other day and we had to literally pick him up, and so we have some real needs that putting up a new structure over there would solve for me and solve for the county. I don't have any place to store large evidence, and my small evidence that I store is stored off in a concrete bunker off of a sally port. And so it's not, there's no airflow in there, right? So there's some real good reasons why we need that space, right? On the flip side of understanding that it's a piece of history, and you try to find that middle ground, right? So even if you were gonna talk about trying to rehab the building, it would change the look of the facility to be able to meet the needs that we had. So I just kind of wanted to share with you that I understand and I appreciate what you do, and I really, had they moved somebody in there right after they closed that building, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. Had they moved the historical society down there in 1998 or whenever they opened it, we wouldn't even have this conversation. But, I know what I need to grow, and I've shared all of that with them. We've been over there, so, I guess I'm just as much in the driver's seat of trying to repurpose that space over there, because I don't know, maybe this is just a little bit of information as you share with your contractors, you know, what we need over here on this side of the road to be able to make our jail viable for the community for the next 25, 35 years.
Needs of the jail, that's something that you have to have that on-site or.
Yeah,
Or
right,
close.
essentially, the things that I've asked them for are things that I need right here. They're not something I can move anywhere else, and they already own that piece of property, so that would reduce the cost of trying to meet those needs, right?
I
So,
got the solution for everybody. You guys love the building, take it, move it. We get our piece of ground, saves the taxpayers money.
Obviously the challenge of that is hugely expensive, especially moving a structure like that. Being able to retain the structure on site is that much money saved that can go into the building. Wanna ask, again, this is one of those where it's like being able to try to think of possible solutions where that building is able to stay. The current jail facility was not constructed to accommodate additional floor of any kind. So it's just.
so, no, not right now. As a matter of fact, what we're looking at, sorry, Jay,
No,
you're getting your way. What I've asked, so we had a jail study done, to try to estimate, so they looked at all of our historical data, trying to determine what the future needs would be of the county, right? So we looked at population, you know, by month, and we did all this stuff. We've got more medical issues going on, we have more mental health issues, we don't have an area for, that's a, you know, right now that would be ADA sufficient. We don't, you know, our LGBTQ community, I don't have any space for violent offenders, I don't have a space for, you know, violent sex offenders, and so a lot of these things that you find in the newer jails where you can segregate them away from the general population to keep the peace. I don't have that right now, and so one of the things we talked about doing was taking the outdoor rec, because it's within the footprint, and constructing cells inside that outdoor rec, which would remove the outdoor rec, which is kind of a bummer. But again, I'm trying to find the middle ground here, and I have to give up that space to be able to get what I need to keep the community safe. You know, I joke, but it's not a joke, you know, we have the most dangerous neighborhood in Benton County. And I need to manage that, and so to manage that, and to keep my inmates safe, because every now and then, we do have fights inside that jail, and a lot of times it's, if I had some, I only have 2 holding cells, so when we bring somebody in, I've got a south cell, and I've got a north cell looking. I've got what's called rubber room, which is where our suicidal, that thing's always full, and then I have a drunk tank, which will hold 4 people on the floor. That is literally all I got, and the state of Indiana, the Department of Corrections says that when your jail is 80% full, they consider that capacity, right? So anything over 80% full means that I am over capacity. Now, that's not anything new to any jail in the state of Indiana, let's just be clear about that, but being able to do what we are talking about doing would relieve some of the pressure on that, and be able to provide spaces for my team to do their job in a safe manner, protect the inmates and protect the communities. That's kind of where we're at.
I've got Commissioner Gix on the line here, and he would like to talk, so we're gonna give him the floor for a minute. John, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, hey guys, thanks for, coming in, and I understand your concern. Since this was all brought up, anytime I've been in a public setting, I brought up to anybody from Benton County, please give me your opinion on, you know, what you'd like to do with the jail. I've not had one person that has asked me to save the jail. They're like, we don't want our money going to that. So I just wanted to let you know that, you know, I have been trying to find out what the community thinks, and that's what the community has told me so far.
So John, this is Dwight. I do have a list of names that have signed a support petition. If you'd like to talk to those individuals, I can get that to you, to all of you. There's about 400 and some from Indiana.
And are those,
100 are from Benton, 100 from Fowler. So there's,
well, I don't care about people from Indiana. I think
right. Yeah, there's about 100 from Fowler. I mean, they're from, there's some from Audubon, Fowler, Pearl Park, Boswell.
I mean, you wanna keep it for ghost hunting, correct?
At this point, I just
What
wanna
is the
save the building.
benefit?
If we don't get to do that ever again, I
Well,
don't
I
care.
mean, even if we repurposed it, obviously we can't have people running through our
Right.
records. So
Yeah.
it would be off limits, which it probably should have been this whole time.
It's about saving the building. You know, for me, yes, we made income from a prairie preservation guild perspective, but the building is more important than that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the liability of
Right.
everything and there's a lot of,
Well, we had waivers that were provided by the county attorney, so we made sure we followed everything to the law, to the document. 450 copies.
Being mindful, obviously, 15 minutes. I'd like to ask, obviously, we appreciate the opportunity to be able to have the time to be able to have the building assessed, condition, issues, needs. We'd like to be able to get some numbers attached to that, solid numbers from qualified contractors. Would the county provide us some additional time, a month? And I guess the reason I ask that is because you're considering action that would completely obliterate that landmark. It will not exist again. And so an additional month to be able to get some numbers, to be able to look at this. I also appreciate hearing from the sheriff, obviously, what the needs are there. And if we have the opportunity to be able to touch base with you on some of those and looking at whether or not that building could accommodate some of those uses. May not accommodate all of those. And again, looking at how where else some of those other uses that aren't as, I would say, as critical to being adjacent to the jail.
so where does the money come from to restore it?
And who's responsible for that? Cause where he's going with this, here's gonna be my question. You're telling us that we can preserve this jail and we don't have a final number on what it's gonna take to preserve it. It's still gonna cost the county every year to maintain that building. Every year, insurance, maintenance, the whole ball of wax. Since 1997, the day they walked out the door of that jail and walked across the street into that new jail, the county taxpayers have been paying for electricity, for insurance on that building that has not been used. And until December of 2024, nobody was interested in showing up and wanting to do anything with that building until there was bids let to have it torn down. So my question is,
I reached out.
where's everybody
before-
been since 1997?
I reached out before I knew there was plans for demolition. Just want to put that out there, and John, he told me about the bids for demolition. So I'm not disagreeing with you, something should have been done sooner, but I wasn't aware.
Because quite frankly, we're in a position here to where I am not for one to tear down historic sites. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I was raised here my entire life. My family's been raised here, Dwight. But on the same, going along with this, we are dealing with the health and safety of people that work for us, of our taxpayers that walk in and out of this building, of the people that work for John in that sheriff's department. This is about life and safety at this point. This isn't about restoring a historic building. We're in a position that we have to get something figured out, and it's gotta be soon. Because if that floor comes down up there, we're not gonna have people hurt. We're gonna have people that we're gonna be going to their funerals. And I'm not doing that. And I'm not putting somebody's life in jeopardy for that.
And I'm not trying to question your guys' needs, I just want my whole goal. I didn't know the things John had needs for until today, so I think that all plays into your guys' decision, because in the end, it's yours.
I know, but it's not that we don't wanna work with you either, and I want you guys to understand that. But I also don't want you to go and spend a bunch of money on something that may be inevitable. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, thank goodness, and I know about you, cause there was an article about you in the paper a year ago that they done an interview with you about when you moved here and what you did up north, and I read that, and it was very intriguing to me, because we have somebody like you of your profession in our county. I truly think that's awesome, I do. And for you to be involved in this, and for you guys to get involved, that's people coming together for a good cause, okay? I just don't want this to go down a rabbit hole, and then at the end of the day, we still have to make our decision, and then we have people upset, because that's the hard part about our job, is it's not just one thing we have to look out for, it's everybody. And, I mean, that needs to be put on the table so that everybody understands that in this room today.
And I will agree with you, status quo of that building doesn't cut it anymore. The fact that it's sitting vacant, issues. If the building is able to be put into use to serve the county again, that justifies the annual maintenance, everything. Even a new structure there is gonna require insurance, maintenance, all of that. As far as cost, what it may be to rehabilitate or meet some of those needs, be able to house some of those needs, we don't know that fully yet. We're working to look at what's needed to be able to stabilize that building until that may be done. With no cost yet as to what a new facility would cost, I would say as far as what it would cost to rehabilitate, we'll try to get some of those figures, but there's not a lot to compare in terms of what the cost of a new structure would be.
Well, you know our needs and what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
It's not feasible to have trucks of papers going up and down stairs, and, I mean, whatever you do with it, it's not gonna work.
And that storage issue is something that, numerous counties I know have dealt with, trying to figure out where to put it, for the time that's needed.
I mean, you can't put file cabinets on a truck and physically get them in that building without a whole lot of work.
Well, I mean, again, no matter where those may go for storage, they're gonna have to be hauled out.
I agree, but I'm just saying, in that facility, it's not feasible.
I guess,
Ideally, now that I understand the issue more, like, is there any administrative offices? Because obviously that building would work better for offices, not storage. But it seems like there's a couple of things you're trying to do, with storage of files and additional jail, facility, right? Would jail function move over to that side too? Or does it take over space here?
No, what it would be is for a lockdown room for evidence, because of our larger evidence that we get, we don't have the storage ability for that. It puts those guys, it puts them and their cases in jeopardy because of where it has to be stored right now. And lawfully, needs to be put where it's supposed to belong, and it needs to be locked up more secure than what it is. There's just, as times change and things with what our sheriff's department deals with on a daily basis, and the amount of people that are being run through our jail system now compared to what it was 30 years ago, we've outgrown it. And that's why you're seeing all these other facilities in the state, you're seeing new jails go up, you're seeing multi-million-dollar jail complexes go up because of the problems we're dealing with in this country and in this state. We don't have the money to just go in and build John a new jail. We don't. I mean, you're talking millions and millions of dollars. So we're in a position, unfortunately, we're in this conversation because it's not the conversation we wanted to have, but we're in a position where we not only have to take care of him, like we've explained, and his deputies for their safety and for our public safety, we also have to take care of people in this courthouse. I don't know of any better way to explain it. I honestly don't. It's like I just said a few minutes ago, there are decisions that we don't necessarily want to have to make, but we have to sleep at night and we have to make sure that we take care of the people of this county. That is our job.
I'm gonna ask again, if the county would allow us some additional time to get contractors in there so that we can provide you with solid numbers associated with some of the work that's proposed within the assessment.
John, did you have something you wanted to say?
I think we just need to move on, and I apologize, guys, I understand what you wanna do, but, you know, we've got $2 million that needs to go into the current jail to get it back to standards. And I think given another $2-3 million to fix a building that we don't have a use for, I think we will hear from the taxpayers that they will not be happy, so I think we just need to move on.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're gonna have the cost of the demolition.
Mhm.
We're gonna have a cost of building a new facility.
Correct.
So is there any other land around in this area where another facility could be built?
No, that's our whole point. We are not giving up property across the road from the jail where our evidence has to be and where it has to be watched and guarded and
Why does it have to be
it
right
has to be
across the
close
road?
because of break-ins. It depends on the criminal cases and so on. John, do you want
Yeah,
to
let
explain?
me, so, it's just not the evidence, on a scale of 1 to 10, the evidence piece is important, but the bigger issue that I'm having in our jail right now is space for human beings and managing them. So like, for example, we've got a program that's going on right now that, I've got a mental health and a drug addiction specialist that comes in twice a week. And I don't have anywhere to put her to bring the inmates, that are in those programs, right? I don't have that space.
So you need a bigger jail anyway.
So, but the problem is so what we're trying to do is by trying to just take advantage of the space that we already have and grow what we can inside our footprint, and then be able to take those things that we can't grow inside our footprint and just move them right across the street, those things that don't have to be exactly where all my corrections officers are, because all those systems, they have to operate out of that bubble in there, right? So they've got this, looks like the Starship Enterprise in there, and we're watching all these people and adding those cells inside that outdoor rec is the best solution for safety for my team and people, because it's still in that same complex and it's still in that same space, and they can still manage it from that same bubble. So it's just not about the evidence, it's about getting everything done and what has to be in the jail versus what we can move out of the jail or what we don't even have in the jail.
Has there been any kind of a study per se done, or is this just all?
So we did, so the commissioners.
$48,000 on one.
Yeah, so we did, we got a complete one, and some of the things that we have to do to the jail are just things like there's groundwater on the south side of that jail that's coming into my building 3 blocks high and have pushed the wall in, that's got cracks big enough to stick your fingers in. So, I mean, there's some things that, as Commissioner mentioned, that we've gotta do that's gonna cost a chunk of money, and believe it or not, we're gonna save some money because our county highway is able to do some of it, right? Which is very cool. But there's things that we've gotta do, like put a roof on that jail. I have water coming in 15 different places in that block because that flat roof up there was leaking. It's like a water bed when you get up there and you push on it. And it's gone down some of the block walls and burned up some of my safety buttons that we have. If I have a COA trouble, I hit that button and it puts out that all call. So we've had to do some interim fixes because I can't fix things right because I don't have a building envelope that's sealed, right? So there's all of these things that these guys have to, and the council have to dig up some money for to actually just get the facility right. And then, like I said, there's no locker rooms, there's no men's and women's locker rooms in there. I've got a women's bathroom and a men's bathroom up in front, but they're not locker rooms. Back in 23, we didn't even have a space to interview victims of crimes. So when we moved the old radio room out, the matrons in the front half that, we now have a new space that we had remodeled, because now we can, like, when we bring in the meth, the fentanyl and all that, the deputies had to use the lunch table that they ate lunch on to actually manage the evidence. That's not a good thing. So So we have done everything we can inside that jail to maximize our space, and we're simply just out of space. And going forward, probably, I'd have to go back and look, but we are probably at DOC's capacity, probably over half the year.
How much extra space is it going to really give you if you tear that jail down and build a new space and move all of the files from this courthouse over there
Yeah, so we
and
talked about that.
everything
So,
else?
yeah, so we talked about that, that's pretty good footprint over there, right? So the idea is to be able to use part of that building to meet the needs of the sheriff's office, and part of that building then to meet the space needs for their storage. And they'll be able to store that stuff, and the lawnmowers that the county uses for the courthouse, and the snow blowers and all that good stuff. Because right now, if you walked into my Sally Port, my walls are lined with stuff, because I don't have anywhere else to put it. So if we can repurpose that space over there and get those things taken care of, we'll be able to then prepare the community's jail for the next 25, 35 years going forward. And this is no dish on the folks that built this jail. They literally probably worked off the data that they had at the time, right? And I don't know that they would ever look forward to 2025 and know that, you know, we are rarely under 20 in that jail. It's a 40 jail capacity, so we're always half full, and more often than not, we're up closer to 30. And there are months in the summer when I'm lining people inside the drunk tank and they're laying them on mattresses because we're literally out of space, so.
Has the county been able to determine the square footage need of what you need in additional space? And
that was,
storage?
that was part, I don't know about storage, but they've got the jail study, and it laid out, you know, one of the first things that they even asked the commissioners was, would you even consider building a new jail? And like, that's like a no, right? Cause it was just, like, I think Carroll County Sheriff spent somewhere around 26 million, because he had the state come in and made them rebuild that sucker. And we don't wanna get in that space, right? I don't need somebody coming in and putting us under the state's mandate to build a new jail, and then these guys lose control, I lose control, and the state builds a new jail for them. But, I mean, I know the space needs that we have, and we're trying to, again, use what I have left to maximize, to protect the inmates, protect my team and all that, and give me the spaces to not get sued inside my own jail. To do that, I need space. And I need space for men's and women's locker rooms, the ADA accessible. I need some place to be able to get our vehicles inside. I need some space to store evidence, and I can't hire another deputy. Well, I hopefully can one day, but if I did right now, I got nowhere to put them. And I don't have any space whatsoever. So the idea is to move their desk over there, because what I don't have is I don't have a training space in my jail. Right now, we're doing some training with a simulator, firearm simulator, and I had to put it in the indoor rec because I don't have a training space. So if we can move the deputies over there, then I can take that space they're in and turn that into a training room, right? Then I don't have to take away the indoor rec, because I won't have an outdoor rec either. So it's all dominoes. And they're doing the best they can do, and I appreciate them. And I, again, like I told him in the very beginning, Dwight, and I talked, I appreciate it, I love it, but it is a double-edged sword for me. And I've asked these guys, and they're providing a container. I have already taken all of the photos off the wall for the old sheriffs, because they were getting warped and messy, and I dried them out and I've stored it in my office. We're going to go over there when it warms up with a couple of our trustees, and we're going to unload all of the stuff out of that building, put it in that container until we can get with the historical society and go through that stuff, because there's some old stuff in there. And I've talked to them, the previous commissioners and these guys a little bit about using some space here in the courthouse on the front floor, because we need to put that stuff up for the community to see. We need to put up our sheriffs. We need to show you some of the old stuff that they used back in the early 1900s all the way up till now, and that's all over there. So I'm pretty excited about that, so.
I'm gonna throw out a really stupid idea. Come here with me. Is it possible to think at all about closing off Lincoln Avenue between these two facilities and expanding the jail?
That's the city, that's not the counties.
The city wouldn't, I mean, you could still come in from the north and around, but that would allow you to expand and not have to fill in.
We might close off right around the courthouse.
I make a motion, we just move forward and, proceed.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
The only thing I would ask, that cornerstone has the
It's
signatures.
staying here.
Okay.
It's not going anywhere. Everything that can be preserved out of that jail is gonna be preserved. That's why the county has bought the container. We're not gonna take the rest of the history away from you or from the rest of the people in this county. But we are gonna have to move forward with what we feel is right that needs to be done. I thank all of you that are here. I thank you for the time that you put in. I hope there's something we can work on in the future together, but at this point, we have to do what's best for the county.
I wanna thank you for providing us the time to look at, solutions. I wish we could have continued to find something to keep it standing. It is a sad day for Benton County's heritage.
We understand that.
To know that building's
You
being
can still
lost.
move it.
This is not a position we want to be in either.
I don't wanna leave here completely frustrated. The courthouse is listed in the National Register. That qualifies it for the Historic Preservation Fund. As you look at rehabilitation needs here, the historic portion of the courthouse, keep in mind that there are funding opportunities out there to offset some of those costs.
If there's anything I can do as looking at space, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Not cheaper than $40,000. No, really, that's why, you know, as architects, we're not in these small communities. And
Right.
that's our problem as a profession,
Right.
not yours.
No, I
And
understand.
so I'm.
That's why I was excited. Like I told you, there was something that was put out about you that I was pretty excited because we've never had that. So.
I'm happy to be here and working with this community, so, thank you.
Thank you.
You have an appointment that we're supposed to make for Cinder. I left the sheet here. Yeah. Drainage board, so that we don't have,
Give me some names and the judge will take it.
can he because he's the surveyor though.
I don't think that
I don't
he
think he
can.
can.
But if they're basically for a free order, they've just gotta be a landowner, so, if you give me some names, I can suggest those.
Okay.
So,
Who's here in the courthouse? That way we're accessible to them the day of the
What is
meeting.
it for?
To the swing vote, because in the event that Nick and Dwingers both put in bids like they did today, him and I can't vote.
Why don't you have, Sam's the secretary, so she can.
She can't, Dave can't, so we need somebody within the courthouse, basically, that's a landowner that can.
As a landowner, can Matt Hall do
She's a
it?
landowner. Well, yeah, Matt could do it. No, cause he works for the surveyor's office.
It's probably best that it's a lay person. It's not an,
I don't
not an
know.
office holder, not an office holder. Otherwise, Judge, he'll just pick somebody, but he, and then he gives me, hey, if there's somebody who's knowledgeable, about drainage stuff or whatever, or if somebody that they just wanna recommend, I mean, it doesn't matter. Cause they just have to vote on one issue for this time, obviously. But just food for thought, I'm gonna get the rest of it filed.
Derek's knowledgeable on drainage.
Am I able to in this position?
As a deputy, he's not elected.
I don't see why he would be guard,
This is gonna be a rare occurrence, so we would need it, Derek.
That's
But
fine.
I just want somebody that's gonna be close. Go ahead, John, do you have something to say, sir?
The sheriff available, or since he's,
He's elected, he can't,
wouldn't work either?
yeah, he can't, but Derek would be available too. If you're all right with that, and Derek's okay with it.
Does he know who, like,
Yeah, I'm
talk
good.
to?
Yeah, he was on the phone. Oh, if you're, yeah, he knows. So you're okay with that? I mean, it's gonna be a rarity that this happens, so,
Yeah, I'm good.
okay.
Good.
Alright,
You're a big deal, man.
good with that?
That's what I had in the corner.
Mr. A?
Congratulations. On me.
Do they need to fewer?
Fewer.
FUEHRER.
Sure.
FUE
FUE. Yep.
HRER.
Oh, that's all I had.
Okay, very good.
Because I'm gonna need, I guess I'll need two
To what?
people. 'Cause we
Yeah.
got two.
There's two of us, now we gotta come up with another one. No,
I thought you just need.
no,
two
cause you
people.
have John.
Yeah, John, but I mean, I've got Derek and then who's the other one? I must have missed that.
Why you
John will
doing
still be voting.
He'd
Okay.
still
Oh,
be
I
majority.
see what you're
So
saying. You
John-
didn't have a quorum.
Yeah, you'd have a quorum to vote,
Yeah, fair enough.
so we only need the one.
Okay, fair enough. That'll work.
Is that the library appointment? Or
No,
do
this
you,
is, I had the library appointment this Sunday.
What's
This
that?
is the ordinance that Jason fixed.
oh, that we need to sign.
Be careful.
And she doesn't have to be here, right?
Who?
Cassandra.
No, she doesn't. I just thought cause she called to ask what time to get on the agenda, so.
Okay.
Here's this if you wanna read. This deal. You can read that out.
You want me to read it out loud?
Yeah.
Okay. Jane Smith's appointment to the Earl Park Public Library Board of Trustees expired in September 2024. We need to appoint a replacement for the Board of Trustees and has been a resident of Richland Township for at least 2 years. Cassandra Phillip has indicated that she would be willing to serve as a trustee if you see fit to appoint her. Cassandra and her family live in Earl Park. She is the owner of the local business. The appointment will be for a 4-year term from January 2025 to January 2029. Certificate of appointments are enclosed. One copy has to be filed in the county clerk's office. One copy needs to be filed at the Earl Park Library, and one copy needs to be obtained in your office.
I make a motion to accept this letter to put Cassandra Eilf on the library board of trustees for Earl Park.
I'll second that.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Motion carried. He's still trying to find a flight.
I just need to put this on.
No, I'm walking out of the airport right now.
You need us to come get you?
It might be quicker.
I'll go.
Beth said she's on her way.
Alrighty,
Do we have anything
what
else?
else do we have on the,
I think we're done, John. Jacob, are you done? Or, well, hold on, we have
One quick
Senior
thing.
Fisher back here.
I don't think, the town's attorney got a hold of you, but the town is interested in 107 North Lincoln and seeing if you would return that property to the town. It's up for tax sale. We tore the house down on it a couple years ago because of living conditions.
Is that the Temetco?
Yeah, and so,
It's just right.
they hadn't obviously reached out to you. I don't know where it is in the tax sale process, but if that's something you guys are willing to.
It's up for sale March.
Okay, so March, so we've got a little bit of time, but I told him I would reach out to you since I was here, so.
Okay, well, John, you all right with it? Could you hear what Jason said?
yep, I'm good.
Okay, I'll let Jed know to get with whatever we need to do paperwork wise.
Yeah, just get that rolling so we can get it worked through.
Thank you.
Anything else? You have anything for us today? Nothing? Well, thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
All right. Make a motion at this time to close the commissioners meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you for everybody being here today. John, be careful coming home if you get to come home.
Alright, guys.
Alright, see you, bud.
I think I'm
Huh?
going to Detroit.
Oh, that's not a good place to go.
Yeah. Alright.
He was coming into Atlanta, yeah, I read that, yeah. And I don't know, because if you read through it, I read through what was in the paper,